Hey everyone, Virology Fanatic here, and today I wanted to talk about, is the Casio Duro still a good watch in 2025? Now, I had the Casio Duro for about a couple years now. It's a good watch, and I just want to know, is it still worth it in 2025? I mean, looking at this watch, I still think that it's a very good watch for diving, or just if you're the type of guy that wants like a daily watch that isn't too expensive, and you want something that's a bit of a name brand. Casio has been a brand for many years. I'm not sure when exactly Casio started making watches, but they're one of those brands that are just perfect for true beaters, true practical watches like G-Shocks, or just digital watches, analog watches, even digital watches. And I think the Duro is probably really one of the best releases they made, in my opinion, because I'm not a big fan of digital watches. For some odd reason, I actually really don't like them. It just don't hit for me. But what is a Casio though still worth it in 2025? I mean, I personally think it is. I mean, the case is still nice. I know the case is really scratched up because I've been using it for years, and it's relatively thin. I believe it's 12.4 millimeters. 200 meters water resistance. It is a quartz movement, and the dial is really nice too. Like, look, you can see it play around with the light. See if you can kind of see it shimmering there with a red second hand. And the one thing I like too about the dial is the little marlin at 6 o'clock with the 200 meters. I know some people don't like it. Some people say it looks kind of cheap. It looks kind of low quality. Personally, I like it. It gives it more character. Although people do have a complaint often with this watch, and that's that sometimes the second hand is not hitting the markers. It's like, I don't know if you can see that, but sometimes it doesn't directly hit the markers. And another thing is, some people complain about the date frame. The date frame is just a little too small, in my opinion. I wish it would be a little bit bigger. That I can definitely understand. Another thing too that you have to think about is the fact that it's a mineral crystal. Now, it's only a $40 watch, but nowadays watches on AliExpress are offering sapphire crystal watches that are around $50. So I wouldn't mind if the watch was just a little bit more expensive, so you can get a sapphire crystal. Because usually Duros right now are anywhere from 35, $40. So just a little bit more money, have a sapphire crystal. And in terms, as I mentioned, watch is 12.4 millimeters thick, 44 millimeters in diameter, and I believe it's 48 millimeters lug to lug. So let's put it on my wrist right here. I got a 8-inch wrist for reference, or 7.3 on my left one. And here's how it looks. Doesn't look too big. Let me just tuck the excess. Doesn't really look too big in my opinion, and I think it's a good size. And because the lug to lug is not really that long for a watch that big of diameter, I actually think it looks great. Now, personally, it would be cool if they made a slightly smaller version at 41 or 40 millimeters, because I do think 40 can be kind of big sometimes, Personally, I don't have an issue with 44 millimeters. I can wear it. It's just that sometimes I would think it's cool to have a little bit smaller. Personally, I think 40 millimeters is the perfect size watch, in my opinion. How's the water resistance? Now, I had never really had to test it because I don't even swim, but personally, I never had any issues with it in terms of water with this watch. I mean, 200 meters water resistance is pretty cool. Another thing is, since it's quartz, you don't have to worry about beating around the movement or anything like that. The only thing that is an issue is lume on this watch is not that good. Yeah, lume is not that good. And especially when you have a watch that's made for diving, that's a bit of an issue because you need lume. Personally, I'm not crazy about lume, but when it's a dive watch, you need to have good lume on a dive watch. And unfortunately, this doesn't really cut it. So after just a short assessment of the watch and giving my small opinions on this and that, pros and cons, how is the Casio Duro in 2025? I think it's a good watch, but now there's better watches. And what I mean by that is, yeah, it's still a good watch. It has the look. It has the unique look of a Submariner and 50 Fathoms mixed together. But I just think that the Duro is not as good as anymore as it used to be, and there's definitely better options. It's not that it's a bad watch, it's a good watch, but I just feel like now, bang for buck, there's probably watches somewhere around the same price mark, around $50 or $45, that you can get that are just slightly better than this. It's still a good watch. There's just a lot of cons, you know, like mineral crystals, small date frame, the fact that it's quartz and it's not even hitting all the markers correctly, misalignment on the bezel. Like, check that out. It's not perfectly lined. Um, oh, and the strap is awful too. It's not very comfortable. It's a little bit more comfortable now because like I broke it in like a while ago, but when you first get the strap, it's really stiff. Um, yeah, I think the Casio Duro is, I don't think it's actually worth it in 2025 anymore. It's still a good watch, and it still like has a bit of like a cult following, like its own little fan base. But I think there's better watches than the Casio Duro nowadays in big 2025. And if I have to give my opinion on this watch, I would say maybe 7 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10. I like it, and I still wear it from time to time, but there's just better options for this watch. The one thing that's cool, though, is the water resistance. You're not going to find a watch that's 200 meters water resistance for around the $50, $45. That's the one thing that's going to make this stand out. So if you're one of those people that actually dives with your watches, then I think this is probably one of the best watches you're going to get. But if you're one of those people that are right with like 100-meter water resistant watches, then there's definitely better alternatives. Anyways, that's it for this video, guys. Just wanted to talk about the Casio Duro in 2025 and see if it still holds up. And in my opinion, it's still holding up just a little bit, but it's not holding up as well as it used to. Anyways, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching.